You know that feeling, right? You lean in to smell a gorgeous flower and bam, the sneezing starts. Well, today we're going to solve that classic spring paradox, how you can enjoy all the blooms without any of the allergy doom. Let's dive in. It just feels so unfair, doesn't it? You've got a beautiful wedding bouquet, or you're just trying to enjoy a perfect day in the garden, and it's all ruined by itchy eyes and a nose that just won't quit. Most of us think we have to choose beauty or breathing. But what if I told you that's a false choice? Okay, so to solve this, we need to play detective and find the real culprit. And it turns out the answer means busting a myth that pretty much all of us have believed our entire lives. Come on, you've done it, I've done it, we've all done it. You see a big, colorful, fragrant flower and do instinctively take a step back, blaming it for your misery. And it makes sense, right? The more spectacular the flower, the more pollen it's gotta be throwing into the air. But what if that's completely, totally backward? Okay, take a look at our two suspects here. On the left, you've got these kind of drab, unassuming things from an oak tree. On the right, a bee having a great time on a vibrant azalea. So who's the real villain making your eyes water? It's the boring one on the left. That's right, the gorgeous, showy flower is actually your friend in this fight. And it all comes down to how they get pollinated. So the sciencey name for these pollen villains is anemophilous, but you can just think of them as wind pollinators. Their entire strategy is basically brute force and chaos. They just produce billions and billions of tiny, lightweight pollen grains and blast them into the air, hoping for the best. A single oak tree can release 500 billion grains of pollen. That's what's getting up your nose. And then on the complete opposite side, you have anemophilous plants. These are the show-offs. They have the bright colors, the sweet smells, and there's a reason for all that flash. They need to attract insects. Their pollen is heavy, it's sticky, it's designed to hitch a ride on a bee, not float on the breeze. So that pollen almost never even makes it into the air, which makes these flowers surprisingly safe for us allergy sufferers. All right, science lesson is over. Let's get practical. How can you actually use this info to build a garden or pick out a bouquet that won't make you miserable? Here you go. This is your official safe list, your shopping list for a sneeze-free spring. We're talking about all the classics. Roses, peonies, tulips. All these beauties are insect-pollinated. Their pollen is made for bees, not for your nose. So go ahead, get right up close and enjoy them. Now, here are the ones you gotta be a little careful with. Yeah, some of these might surprise you. Things like lilies and sunflowers can still pack a bit of a pollen punch. But the real heavy hitters, the ones causing most of the trouble, are those wind-pollinated usual suspects. Ragweed and big trees like oak and birch that just flood the air with allergens. And for all you gardeners out there, listen up. This is a brilliant pro-level hack. Some plants have separate male and female versions. Think of it this way. The boy plants make the pollen, the girl plants make the seeds or fruit. So if you choose a female variety of, say, a maple or a willow, you get all the green, all the beauty with literally zero pollen. It's the ultimate allergy-friendly move. But just when we think we've got the perfect solution, of course, there's a twist. Because a flower that seems like a dream come true for us might actually be a total nightmare for some of the most important visitors to our gardens. Okay, so you know those super fluffy, lush flowers that look like they have a million petals, like some roses or peonies? They're often called double flowers. It happens because of a genetic quirk that turns the pollen-making parts into more petals. No pollen parts means no pollen. It sounds perfect for someone with allergies, right? Or is it? Yeah, this quote pretty much gets to the heart of the problem. While we're sitting there enjoying our beautiful sneeze-free flower, the bees and butterflies are in big trouble. So here's the trade-off. What for us is a gorgeous pollen-free dream, for a bee is basically a food desert. That same mutation that gets rid of the pollen often hides the nectar or gets rid of it completely. So these little guys are attracted by the pretty colors, they fly all the way over expecting a meal, and they find out the kitchen is closed. It's just wasted energy for them. Now, we need to zoom out for a second because this very personal problem of sneezing is connected to a much, much bigger global trend that is making things worse for, well, pretty much everyone. The science on this is pretty clear. Climate change is putting pollen production on steroids. All that extra carbon dioxide in the atmosphere that's warming things up, it also acts like a super fertilizer for plants, especially for the wind-pollinated ones we're most allergic to.
They grow faster, bigger, and they make way, way more pollen.
And how much more are we talking? Well, one study looked at what happens when you expose oak trees to higher CO2 levels. The result? A potential pollen increase of nearly 1,300%. No, that is not a typo. 1,299%. And you can see just how wild this is. As the CO2 in the air goes up, pollen production doesn't just increase, it explodes. It's not a straight line, it's a curve that goes almost straight up. We are literally fertilizing the very things that make us feel so awful every spring.
And it's a double whammy. It's not just the amount of pollen, it's the duration. Warmer temperatures mean the allergy season is starting earlier and ending later. On average, we're being exposed to pollen for nearly one extra full day every single year. That gives our bodies more time to get sensitized and for us to suffer.
So that's a lot, and it's kind of a downer, I know. But don't despair. Let's bring this all the way back home, back to your own backyard, and talk about what you can actually do. Let's build your toolkit for gardening smarter. It really comes down to 3 simple steps. First, choose those beautiful, showy, insect-pollinated flowers we talked about. Second, when you can, use that gardener's hack and plant female-only varieties to get 0 pollen. And third, and this is a big one, find a balance. If you love those pollen-free double flowers, that's awesome. Just make sure to mix in some simple single flowers nearby to make sure the bees have something to eat. And this is the really beautiful part. This isn't just about managing your own allergies. By making these smart choices, you're not only creating an oasis for yourself, you're also supporting the pollinators that our entire ecosystem relies on. Your own garden can truly become part of the solution. And that really leaves us with this final thought. It doesn't have to be a choice between a garden that's good for you and one that's good for nature. With just a little bit of knowledge, you can have both. A stunning, sneeze-free space that is also a thriving banquet for bees. That's all for this explainer. I hope this helps you go out and enjoy a truly beautiful and wonderfully sneeze-free spring. We'll see you next time.